Thank you, Sandy, and it's a pleasure to be here, marking, I guess, the first major manifestation of the Cultural Governance Alliance. As Sandy said, my name is Megs Patten, and I'm the Arts Council's lead for workforce development, leadership and governance in our arts organisations, museums and libraries. Demystifying the challenge of governance is a broad topic, so I'll qualify that a little by saying that our experience at the Arts Council is mainly in organisations that receive public funding, and I shall be talking about what we at the Arts Council think's important. Last week, the leader in the Stage newspaper declared that given the pressures on the cultural sector, it's time to talk about boards. And we agree, because there are some pressing challenges and exciting possibilities for us around who gets to be trustees, how they build their own capacity, and in turn, that of executives. Now, in the day-to-day, we've much to thank trustees for. They go about helping brilliant people do brilliant work. And at the Arts Council, we absolutely don't take that contribution for granted. Boards perform a public service that involves sacrifice of time and resources, and of course they're exposed to personal risk. It's important that this public service is recognised and that we support it. And of course the Arts Council has a role here, but we do need something in return for our support. And what we need from sector governance is closely linked to the strategic challenges that we all face. You may know that we at the Arts Council are in planning mode, consulting on our next 10-year strategy, which will guide our activity all the way through until 2030. So I'd like to update you a bit on that and perhaps stimulate your thinking about what that might mean for governance. The development of our new strategy is very much an evidence-based exercise, involving analysis of a wide range of research alongside a conversation with our stakeholders and more than 5,000 members of the public. And we want to use our strategy to build on the good, but also change what isn't working. So let me describe a bit about where the evidence has led us thus far, and I'll start with some positives. Over the past 10 years, we've demonstrated a growing national and international reputation for the quality of our work and our creative industries, including our publicly funded cultural institutions. We've attractive, accessible cultural buildings, and as a result, culture in many towns and cities across England is greatly strengthened. But the evidence informing our strategy also reveals very significant challenges, which I'll briefly outline. Firstly, there are big differences in how people define and value arts and culture. And many members of the public experience publicly funded culture infrequently. Not all children enjoy the benefits of arts and culture inside or outside school. And the business models of the sector, especially with regard to technology and attracting new income streams, aren't strong enough. Cultural leaders report a retreat from artistic risk-taking and talent development. And despite raised awareness, there remains a lack of diversity in the sector. Of course, these challenges are broad and deep, and they require a collective response. Our consultation on our new strategy, which is live now, and I hope many of you will contribute to, will use our collective wisdom to shape an overall plan. But within each of these big challenges that I've described, we can all see the specific areas that we might contribute to. So let me talk a little more about what we think those areas are for governance. In terms of the fiduciary or statutory role of governance, most Arts Council funded organisations are functioning well. And we know this because we analyse the resilience of those organisations as part of our decision to fund them. The vast majority have good corporate governance to ensure, for example, the appropriate use of public money. Kids Company and other examples remind us we must never take these essential processes of governance for granted. But the significant challenges that our strategy has highlighted will require us to think about organisational culture and behaviours as well as process. Boards will need the confidence and know-how to help their organisations ride the wave of the new economy and make wise investment choices around technology. Chairs will need commitment and courage to ensure stronger succession planning and leadership development within their organisations. Boards need to consider if their current business model is fit for the future. We recognise the tension between artistic risk-taking and the need to earn an income. And we're all too aware of funding reductions in local authority and, of course, increased competition for grants from trusts and foundations. But organisations are finding new ways to mitigate these impacts, whether that's additional commercial income, such as New Writing North's crime publishing arm, or mergers, such as the one we've supported for Salisbury's Playhouse International Festival and Arts Centre. Technological transformation is, of course, shaping this new economy. Organisations need to make informed investment decisions around technology that supports creativity, productivity, and audience insight. The Arts Council's appointing 9 tech champions across England to assist staff-funded organisations with these decisions. Of course, to have a strong business plan to invest in the right tech requires real decisions by real people. Strong executive leadership is key to achieving an organisation's vision, and the board has a vital role in both appointing leaders and in establishing a creative, curious and compassionate culture where risk-taking can thrive and people feel safe and supported to develop their full potential. And if performance issues in executive leadership arise, we need chairs with good judgment to intervene and address underperformance fairly, but swiftly and effectively. In highlighting the importance of people and organisational culture, it reminds us of the need to attract the best talent to our sector. We can only be confident we have the best talent if we're able to draw on the widest possible talent pool, which brings me to the biggest challenge of all, diversity and inclusion. I'm afraid the data tells us that progress to change the profile of boards, leadership and workforce in our sector has been too slow. For example, there are still more men than women on boards of our MPOs, despite being the larger group in the workforce. The proportion of board members who are BAME or disabled has not changed recently. And we also know people from less privileged backgrounds are underrepresented in our sector. I suspect by dint of your presence in this room, you are committed to change. You know it makes sense in terms of business models that cognitively diverse boards make better decisions, identify new market opportunities and deal better with threats. And cognitive diversity only comes from having different sorts of people at the table, sharing their perspectives. And I'm sure you agree it's a basic matter of fairness that a sector that exists partly by consent of the people should also represent people, all of them, whatever their background. And we should go beyond representation and seek to include people from all backgrounds and ensure that they can tap their own unique, deep well of potential. In our experience, most people in the sector buy these arguments, but not everyone knows how to respond to them. We recognise the big picture challenge of diversity policy may seem overwhelming, but in terms of changing, for example, the profile of a board, the steps are, in practice, quite simple. We know because the Arts Council, working in collaboration with the DCMS, our sponsor ministry who appoint our National Council, have started to make change. Following our last round of recruitment, half our National Council is now made up of women, and we increased the number of applicants from BAME and deaf and disabled people. and made a series of outstanding appointments. And this only required 3 simple steps. Firstly, DCMS ensured there was a full, fair and transparent recruitment process. Secondly, we all challenged ourselves about what we needed from our National Council, thinking, for example, about the benefits that younger members might bring. And thirdly, we invested time in ensuring we reached that large pool of diverse candidates, encouraging people who met the criteria but perhaps didn't think of themselves as part of the traditional culture club to apply. I'm sure many of you in this room have already adopted such actions, but if we could get every cultural board amongst our peers in the country to change their behaviour and follow these simple processes, might we not see significant change more quickly, perhaps within one board life cycle? Now, we're thrilled with the array of talent we have on our new National Council, but our job is far from finished. Can we and other organisations be satisfied that we've really moved on from achieving representation to inclusion of different people and different perspectives? Can we be confident that those who sit on our boards feel that, yes, they can be sort of passionate advocates for a particular group or a particular policy objective if they wish, but that we also want them to bring their whole valuable experience to bear in the role. Until we can be confident that we do have an inclusive culture in our sector, until power has shifted so more new faces are part of decision-making at top tables, there will be more work to do. So let me now turn to the support that we're giving to help boards create the change we all want to see. Some of you may be surprised at what we already offer. For example, our Culture Change Toolkit includes 6 guides to help organisations follow best practice in recruitment, including one on how to create diverse boards. It's available on our website, and the Cultural Governance Alliance will offer another valuable platform for dissemination. We also support a range of more bespoke programmes and ideas, such as Yorkshire Edition, a new board shadowing programme led by artistic directors of the future to develop BAME talent with 5 Yorkshire producing theatres. It's a terrific example of a project that was supported initially by us but is now entirely self-sustaining. We'll continue to directly invest in our network of chairs and board members through development events such as our recent conference, The Art of Leadership. Feedback from that event showed the different issues facing organisations at different scales and in different geographies, and suggested a more appetite for debate and development around governance issues. So on that note, I'm delighted we've recently made a decision, alongside our partners HLF, Gulbenkian and Foyle Foundation, to invest in the newly formed Cultural Governance Alliance. Through the Alliance, we can stimulate new collaborations, new ideas, and offer moral support. We plan to invest more in leadership development from next year. This will include activities such as networks, building networks, mentoring, and coaching. And we want to offer resources for chairs and board members alongside our executive leadership. We do need to support the governance journey of individuals, which, as I've experienced, can run alongside the day job, each benefiting the other. We should think about more support for the more challenging aspects of governance, such as dealing with executive performance. And finally, we'd like to have a conversation about reimagining the board bank for the 21st century. We know that board banks have been used with varying degrees of success at different times. For the concept to succeed, we need to attract diverse talent from within and well beyond the cultural world. We'd need cultural organisations to embrace it. We'd welcome a conversation with anyone who has thoughts about how to achieve it. Despite framing the future in terms of threats as well as possibilities today, I'm optimistic about the journey that we're going on over the next decade. If we're back here in 10 years' time after the Arts Council's next strategy has played out, I want us to be cheering a decade in which we created great opportunities for exciting new talent to flourish in every part of our organisations, including, of course, our boardrooms. Thank you for listening today. I hope it's given you some idea of how we at the Arts Council see the future of governance developing and how we want to help. And do enjoy the rest of the conference.